start the broadcast, start the webinar here. So welcome to all. Today we are being joined by two members, Esri Canada and Tacel Limited, who will share their new initiative, products or services to aid the industry in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Each company will be given approximately 10 minutes, followed by a 5-minute Q&A. And James Cabral from Sunrise System was supposed to have been the third presenter, but he emailed us yesterday that he was ill and would be unable to attend and actually was going to go see a doctor. So we reached out to him on behalf of ITS Canada, Arif and Jeff, wishing him well, and hopefully he will be able to join us in a future webinar. And these are different times that we are finding ourselves in, and our colleague Brendan Hemley, who is chair of ITS Canada's Advanced Public Transit Technical Committee, shared with me and various committee members the map that you see on my screen called Commuting in Corona Times, and it normally would be something that you would see when you take the subway in Toronto or any other big city. But you know, I took a closer look at this yesterday, and I thought, isn't that true? Everything that's what's on the screen right now. It's laundry, garbage, coffee maker, stove, and I think we're a yoga mat, and we're all in that same boat. So I just wanted to sort of share with you that we all experience this one way or another. So our first presenter today is Arif. I've known Arif for many, many years. I think it would go back to about 2010. Arif is an expert in the digital systems that manage the roads, highways, and public transit infrastructure that we all use in our daily lives. In the transportation infrastructure management field, he has global experience, contributing to the design of the management systems for the highway interstate network in the United States, sustainable transport programs for federal governments in East Asia, and most recently, urban mobility planning for Canadian municipalities. Arif is busy helping to make our roads safe, secure, reliable, and sustainable, all while exploring our vast planet with all its cultures and beauty. He vigorously adds stamps to his passport with the knowledge that the only thing you can buy that will make you richer is travel. And I think now he can add that to it, so he has to update his resume, is virtual travel, because I think that's all what we will need to be doing in the next little while. So I'm hand over my screen to Arif, and Arif, over to you.
Thank you, Yannicka. Yeah, that last little bullet there on my bio, I guess it still applies. You know, I find that these days we're doing a lot more, well, put it this way, the world has simply gotten smaller. So while I'm not spending as much time on airplanes and in other countries as I once did, I'm actually exploring my neighborhood on foot a whole lot more. And I gotta say, I have made some interesting discoveries. So I encourage you out there to get out there on foot and see what's around in your neighborhood, because if you haven't explored, this is a better time than ever to get out there and do it. Anyways, I just wanted to thank you again for the introduction, Yannicka. I wanted to just share a little bit of a story. When all of this social distancing started a little while ago, of course, this was when you know, the coronavirus was taking effect and COVID-19 was spreading. I secretly, this is within me, I secretly felt that, okay, maybe this is an opportunity for me to kind of take a break and kind of, you know, wind down a little bit, because, you know, the office is closed. We're not going to be going into the office anymore, and most of our customers, I guess, from a professional standpoint, will also have some challenges getting by. And so I was kind of looking forward to a little bit of a downtime. Quite the opposite has happened, actually. It's been insanely busy for me and for many of us who are on this call and around the country. I have to say, at first I was a bit disappointed. I thought, I really wanted a bit of downtime. But then I was taking a walk outside, and I saw my neighbor, and he was sharing with me that his professional life has come to a screeching halt. And so, you know, here I am wishing that I had less work to do. when in fact he's in the exact opposite situation, and he's struggling right now because he's not his income has severely gone down. So I guess what I'm saying is, there is a silver lining, even though sometimes we don't see it. And I'm happy to, I'm blessed, I guess is a good way to count my blessings, that I'm able to continue to work and continue to deliver the solutions that we do. So in that breath, I'd like to share with you some of the things that Esri Canada is doing. So I serve as the industry manager for transportation at Esri Canada, and I basically provide solutions for, I guess, GIS solutions as they pertain to transportation across the country. And a number of the initiatives that have been keeping me and the rest of my team busy since the pandemic started, for the COVID-19 pandemic started, I wanted to share with you some of those things today, just for a few minutes. The other thing I also wanted to do is, in addition to sharing with you some of the activities that we're doing, I wanted to share with you how you could get started with them. Because one of the things that Esri has decided to do is a lot of the tools that are helping our customers stay, I guess, be more resilient in these times, we're offering them for free. So I'm going to show you how you can actually access those at the end of this quick session. So let me get started. I'm going to just quickly share my screen, and hopefully this works without a glitch. All right, can I get a quick confirmation that, Yannicka, you can see my screen?
Yes, we see this wonderful person climbing a side of a mountain. That is not you, is it?
You are looking at the wrong screen. Okay, one moment. How do I switch screens? Screen. Here we go. My mistake. Apologize. Can you now see the Johns Hopkins dashboard?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Yannicka. So many of you have probably seen this dashboard before. This is the one that's being published by Johns Hopkins, and it's live. This is actually on my web browser right now, and it's showing all the stats for the COVID-19 statistics across the world. It's, of course, I don't know. I used to look at this every day, and then I stopped because the numbers just keep going up. So I decided to take a break from it, but this is a dashboard, of course, that's being provided around the world. Many people have seen it. What many people may not know is that the technology that provides this dashboard is something that Esri provides. My organization provides the technology to put this dashboard up. We don't provide the data, of course. Johns Hopkins University does that, but we provide the technology to make this happen. So if you look at some other examples of that technology, you might, well, there's one right there. That's the Johns Hopkins University that we just showed you. We're also providing the same technology to places like state of Florida. The World Health Organization, their map that shows the same COVID-19 statistics, that's also provided by Esri. We also provide it for FEMA, US military, St. Johns County, Florida, a number of others. And very recently, we also launched this technology for the government of Canada. So if you go to the canada.ca website, I'm just going to click on English because I speak English. And if you go down to where it says most requested, there is a link on the canada.ca website for the coronavirus COVID-19. Clicking on that link takes you to some information that's hosted from the federal government about COVID-19. And there is a link here called Digital Tools under the current situation. Clicking on that link will bring you to this dashboard. This is actually, again, an Esri dashboard. It's a Government of Canada dashboard, which Esri has provided the technology to support. So this, in light of, it looks very similar to the Johns Hopkins dashboard. Of course, it's the same technology, but this is one of the things that our organization is doing to help our community in the time of this pandemic, is providing this technology for all of our government. In fact, I shouldn't even say government, but for all of our customers across the globe. Let me just go back to my slideshow quickly, and I'll just walk through a couple of different things here. So looking at that, you might get the impression that Esri is it's a dashboard company, and we're far from it. Esri is GIS, so it's Geospatial Information Systems. The way I like to say it, it's kind of like the location plumbing for all of your data. So whatever data you have, all that data has some location attached to it, and the plumbing that makes your organization work, if it's location-based data, that's where GIS is. That's where Esri fits. And so we provide that plumbing that helps serve up a lot of the technology that you see on your screen right now. Practical applications of that technology end up being things like mapping, data visualization, the dashboards like what I just showed you at the Government of Canada website and the Johns Hopkins University dashboard. We do analytics on that data. There's another screen I'm going to show you in a moment about site selection. We do provide
Arif,
a
we
lot of
can't see your
technology.
screen.
You
I
can't
can't
see
see
the
your
screen?
screen other than the dashboard of the Johns Hopkins mapping. So, yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
I can see it now.
Did you see the Canada website?
No.
Did not. Can you see the, okay. I do apologize. For everyone on the call, we went through the test yesterday. It's obviously my fault that I'm screwing this up right now. Are you able to see the Government of Canada website right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a quick recap. I had gone to the canada.ca website, clicked on English, and in the canada.ca website, there is a link here for the coronavirus COVID-19, I guess, information. And when you click on that, you end up getting to this page. And in this page, you can click on the digital tools link, which will bring you to this dashboard, which looks similar to the Johns Hopkins dashboard because it's the technology that underlies this is the Esri technology. So I hope we're caught up now. You can always rewind
Yes.
the recording to see the rest of it. Again, my apologies. I'm going to quickly switch back to this slide that I was at earlier when I was talking about the fact that Esri, my organization, is not just a dashboard organization or a company that provides dashboards. We provide the location glue that brings all of your data together. And so the applications of that glue are things like mapping, data visualization, dashboards, analysis. We provide a lot of this data for data science in the academic world, and also for field data collection. Specifically, for what's happening right now with the COVID-19 outbreak, we find that many of our first responders out there are using our technology. Some of the technology that you see on the screen here has to do with Tracker, which basically allows us to track individuals in real time using their mobile devices. We have I guess office-based solutions like Workforce that allows us to evaluate where people are going. And I don't want to get too much into the weeds there, other than to say that there are elements of our technology that are contributing to combating this pandemic right now. And at the result of that, as you can see some of the dashboards that I've shown you earlier. There's a whole other side of our business that uses this technology to do things like predictive analytics. We've all heard about the idea of flattening the curve. A lot of the analytics that are evaluating exactly the detail in flattening that curve, much of that is done through GIS and much of that is done through the Esri platform, able to find pattern detection. Some of the hospitals that you might see popping up around the globe right now, those are where those sites are being allocated, or how those sites are being allocated, often is also being used through the GIS platform that we're offering up to our government partners. So one of the things I wanted to leave you with is how do you start? If you wanted to take advantage of some of the technology that Esri is providing for free, where can you go to learn some more information about, what can I do to help me serve my community, or help me serve my organization or my government entity deal with some of this? The technology is all there. So we have a few different options really, but there's one thing that I can do. Essentially, this slide just talks about the steps involved. You want to be able to report and monitor, understand and act on what you want to do, and communicate that information to the stakeholders. And so the COVID-19 response package that Esri is currently providing, it's complimentary. I know it says 6 months. It is complimentary. Hopefully we'll be out of this by 6 months, but you can get spun up pretty fast. There's a link on the slide right now. If you go to www.esri.ca/COVID-19 Canada, it'll take you to this link. Now, I can share the link after the fact if you like, but it is on the screen if you wanted to jot it down. That link will take you to this page right over here. And on this page right over here, we have a number of data sets that Esri Canada is offering up for free. You can basically take advantage of this data and use it with the technology that's provided in order to build either your own dashboards or your own business continuity workflows. And so we have things like, these are live data that's coming in, case accumulation by province, health region summaries, provincial daily totals, provincial summaries, quite a number of things that are specific to the COVID-19 pandemic. And scrolling down on the streets, there's also a ton of open data sets that Esri Canada has curated. This is offered up by other government agencies or other agencies throughout the country that are available for you to use. These are open, free to use. Grab them, make use of this data that's already out there. One of the things that I've discovered is when you have a task that needs to get done and when you have a project in front of you, you want to get it done, oftentimes when you start searching for the data, you'll find that there is a wealth of information out there that you can take advantage of, and a lot of it is open, and a lot of it's very, very powerful. Scrolling down the page, I just wanted to bring you to this link right over here that says Deploy Coronavirus Business Continuity Solution. There's a button here called Learn More here, and if you click on that, it takes you down to the instructions. I'm not going to do it on this webcast, but when you click on that button, it takes you to the instructions on how you can download for free all the technology that you need in order to develop some business continuity solutions. And it could end up looking something similar to the maps you've already seen before, such as the John Hopkins, or maybe it's something more tailored towards your business. But essentially, Esri has been on the forefront of the COVID-19 pandemic, helping our community to battle this, and we're also opening up the technology for anybody to use in their organizations as they see fit. So pretty much that's it. I didn't want to take up too much time. I just wanted to share that with the group. If there are any questions, I'm happy to field them right now. Yannicka?
Thank you very, very much for that insightful presentation. And this is only the second webinar in our series of 5 more to come. And I already have learned a whole lot. And thank you very much. There were some questions because we couldn't see your screen, but one of the questions that I did ask last week of our presenters is, how has COVID-19 impacted your daily work? I know you're working from home, and maybe on a positive note, for me, myself, I know on a not negative note is that it feels like I work now more than I ever have before, balancing my work, but it's also because this is we find ourselves in an unknown situation. We don't know what's to come. It changes every minute, and it feels almost like I have to sort of change my daily routine to stay informed and to make sure that, ITS Canada meets the needs of our members. So I was just wondering if you can sort of elaborate a little bit on that.
I think what's happened it really brings to light the resilience of our community and our people, right, who are supporting this community. I, for one, felt like at first, like I was sharing in the beginning of this webinar, that I was hoping for some downtime, and in fact, quite the opposite have happened. I've been quite busy. And I think that even in light of that, I also thought that it would have been difficult to proceed as normal, go through your normal business day. But I found that, the technology for us to do this sort of thing, much like the technology we're using right now, where you can see my face and we can share a bit of a conversation. Yes, it's not as good as it could be. We couldn't be face to face with one another, and I think there's always some value in that. I think that, as a community, as business professionals, would have been able to take hold of the technology that's available and be very resilient. And so as a result, I find that suddenly I'm busier, but people are more accessible now because, quite frankly, I know where they are. They're probably at home and they're probably sitting in front of the computer throughout the day, and they're able to communicate like this. And so suddenly business has become more instant. I'm able to reach out to people and have a communication right away without scheduling a meeting or struggling to do something like that. So I think that this pandemic, although very negative and certainly disheartening because of all the challenges from the health perspective, there is a silver lining here in terms of the business perspective, that we're able to continue. Some of us, anyways, are able to continue so strongly. But the other thing, and this is what I'm really, really hoping for, I'm an eternal optimist, is that after this is done, we as a community won't actually go back to the normal that was. We can learn from some of the challenges that have become uncovered through this experience and adapt and move forward. So I think our new normal, once we do start to see each other face to face more frequently again, there will be changes. And I think as we move forward, those changes can be very positive.
Thank you very, very much. And on that note, I'm going to change my screen back to not my webcam, although I could, but I'm going to put it back to my PowerPoint. So thank you very much. And yes.
Thank you, Yannicka.
Next up is, sorry, I just got to change my slides here, my text. Next up is Jeffrey Smart. Jeffrey Smart is the Vice President of Tacel Limited. Jeffrey started with the company in 1984 as an inside salesperson and has gradually worked his way to becoming president from 2013 until 2019. Jeff has 34 years of experience in the traffic control industry. He holds a degree in electrical engineering technology from Ryerson Polytechnic Institute. He is also a power option member of IMSA International, was Ontario chapter president 1993-1994, sits on the board of ITS Canada since 2007, and is co-chair of the Exhibitor Advisory Committee of ITS Canada 2021, and among some of us is known as Mr. Sociable, which is not in his resume, which I added. So Jeff, I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay. Well, I'll start over again, and I'd just like to say thank you very much to ITS Canada and also to Yannicka for allowing us to do a presentation, and also on behalf of all of the suppliers as well too, to allow them to use this forum to reach out to our members. So what I'm going to be talking about today is about COVID-19 and about how that it's essentially been now in the forefront of how we do things, and we know that we've actually been able to have to do things differently than we have before. Some of the things that I can talk about personally was about the word that we use, which is called social distancing. And one of the things about that is that that is something prior to this that had actually no idea what it really meant. But essentially, because of COVID-19, it's actually changed the way that we have to interact with each other on many different levels. And the one thing is as well too is that we've now learned now that we have to go ahead and we have to work from home. We have to work from away from each other. We have to keep our distance away from each other. And it also means as well too that when we get into the implementation of technology into our industry and that it's actually going to change the way the things work moving forward. So our implementation, the operation, and the support of our infrastructure will need to change. And what that means is that we need to find alternative methods of how we can all work together. So the next thing is what we need to do is that we need to find out is that we have to go ahead and we're going to have to do more with less. One of the things that we're finding out as well too, in order to keep the social structure together, that we found out that governments around the world are pumping vast amounts of money within the economy in order to keep things going, and that hopefully that at the end of all of this that we'll be able to come out with some kind of a normalcy of doing business and how also that we can conduct our business. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to see as well too is that we're going to find out as well is that some of the things that we're doing, that we're going to have to do things a little more effectively, a little more cost effective, because the simple fact is at the end of the day that we're all going to be paying for the services that we're providing right now through some form of taxes. So what we're looking for is that we're looking to do with new techniques that are going to meet these new guidelines. And some of these techniques that we're going to see is ones that have been utilized in other industries already for some time now. And we're just introducing that now into the transportation industry. Because that we have to go ahead and do this on a basis of being remote in most cases, that we're going to be doing that with fewer resources. And also it's going to go ahead and reduce the costs as well as our carbon footprint. So where are we now? So a couple examples that I'm going to show you here is a couple of traffic management systems that our partner Q3 has implemented in Minnesota as well as in North Carolina. And essentially what this is utilizing existing technologies that's able to provide the users of these two systems to remote into their particular sites without the use of a VPN. So that way that what they can do is that they can go ahead and if they're on a computer in one part of the world and it's a laptop and it's not connected to their network, they can actually remote access into their network to see how things are and to do what needs to be done in order to complete the task at hand. It becomes easy to use as well too, because in one sense that there is no program that needs to be installed on the workstation that they're using. So it becomes what they call a true thin client. So they're able to go ahead and do this right now with the existing technologies, and it's been available now for a number of years. But the one thing is, though, is that if we can do this now with what it is we have, can we actually do this better? So the answer to all of this is yes, we can. So where are we going? So essentially what we're finding out now is that we're building our solutions now on cloud-based technology. That particular technology allows us to build in terms of scale that if you start off as a small situation at first, you can actually go ahead and it become larger. The other thing as well too is that the type of technology that I'm going to be touching on the next slide is that it's also redundant. So that means presently right now that we have a number of systems that are out there that their one program essentially runs off of one machine. And what the technology that we're introducing now into the workplace through Q-Free is that we're able to go ahead and to manage this through a number of smaller programs and different little portions of a program, so it's redundant. So we have this on multiple machines. So instead of just having one program on one machine, we have the program that is going to be scattered across a number of machines with these little programs running independently but collectively together. It would also give us the opportunity to do some online licensing, and also through this technology that it also allows us to do continuous deployment, which actually means that when you go ahead and you have a problem with the system, or if you want to update the system, you don't have to take the system down in order to perform an update. So essentially there's a little portion of that particular program that you need to update. You can actually go ahead and update one little portion of the program without having that whole system go down, or you have to take it offline. We can also do this in terms of we're getting ready to deploy it and migrate to a program called SaaS. We can also utilize things such as center-to-center applications, which actually means that if you have some jurisdiction in the province of Ontario or in the state of Iowa or someplace in the world, and you have it connected the same system to another municipality within that area, that you can actually utilize this called center-to-center, and it actually works quite easily. And because that we're utilizing this type of technology where we're actually displaying or also providing the framework of how that all works, that allows us to integrate with third parties easily. So if someone wants to add on a feature onto an existing system, and that they can actually do that relatively easily. So what are the modern technologies that we can use? Well, something called Kubernetes clusters. We have Dockers and containers. And essentially what this is, it actually comes from the open source arena, like out of Linux-based machines, that essentially what it does is that it manages applications and services across multiple machines. So you have these little portions of the program that are scattered amongst a number of machines, and that they're all into these little containers. And if you have to go ahead, and like I mentioned earlier, if you have to go ahead and update one of them or something like that or whatever, you can just go into that one container. You can update that without taking down the system and allow it to continually operate, and then go ahead and put that back into service. So some of the people that are utilizing this right now is Google, is also Slack, Intuit, and about 10,000 other companies around the world. The other thing as well too we use is another open source program, and it's called Postgres SQL. And what this is that this is a database. So in a sense that this is a database that is similar to what you find from Microsoft SQL or from Oracle. And again, that this is a very powerful program that's available within the open source community. It is also used by people like Microsoft, LinkedIn, PayPal, and MasterCard. In order to get that information and for you to utilize it, we're also utilizing something called GraphQL. So what that is, it basically is that the information that the Postgres SQL collects, that you can utilize this called GraphQL, which is a query engine that allows you to get the data that is stored by Postgres USL or Postgres SQL, and you can manage it. And that particular program is used by Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, and some other online systems and services. And then the last thing as well too is React.js. And what that is the user GUI, the graphical user interface. And this is a language that was developed by Facebook and for user interfaces, and it's used by over 8,000 companies, including Netflix, Yahoo, Facebook, and WhatsApp. So what we're doing is that we're saying that what we can do is that by moving towards this type of platform, we're able to go ahead and provide a scalable, high performance system utilizing an open source technology that has been available and used by other people within the world that has been proven. And we're able to go ahead and take that and put together a system that you can, if you have to modify, that you can go ahead and do that relatively easily. If it needs to be upgraded, you can do that without disturbing the rest of the program. And it's also in terms of scalable that we can go ahead and do this in such a manner that it can be small, and then it can be grown into a larger system. And most importantly of all as well too is that you can do this remotely. So a lot of this, instead of actually being within an office and putting this together and things like that, or trying to see what's going on or whatever in a community that in one point in time that you would work in close together, that this type of technology allows us to go ahead and to be able to get to and do your work remotely, independently, but then collectively as well too, overall. So one thing that Mr. Albert Einstein had said at one point in time was nothing happens until something moves. And what we have recognized is that in the industry today, that what we're trying to do is that because of what has happened globally, and to look towards the future for items that will become easily integratable, because when we also talk about smart city initiatives where there are different facets within our industry that needs to melt together and to work collectively in that if we move to an open platform interface that is easily usable, that is relatively low cost to implement, and things of that nature, that we would be able to go ahead and to do things easily during these times of trouble. So right now, Yannicka, that is my presentation, and I thank you for it.
Thank you. And I see this wonderful picture on my screen right now that is a tent somewhere. And I was just wondering if that's a tent that you've set up in the backyard or?
No, if it was, there'd be snow all around it and be snow on top of it because it snowed like crazy here today. But no, that is not, Yannicka. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
You're more than welcome. But thank you again to Yannicka, and also to everyone attending today to take time out of your schedule to attend this. And I also just like to say thank you to ITS Canada for allowing us to do these presentations. Thank you.
Thank you. And so also, Jeff, the question I have for you is, for Tacel and your colleagues at Tacel, how has COVID-19 impacted your daily work or your company's daily work, and what is some positive that this has brought to Tacel and yourself maybe?
Well, I think for one thing, Yannicka, I think that it's actually taught us that we need to work together from utilizing social distancing, and especially at work and things like that, to make sure that we're all aware of each other and to make sure that we're all safe. Because the one thing that we're doing as well too is that we're all ensuring that we're wearing face masks and we're keeping clean, and we're keeping the social distance as well too in that. And I think in reality as well is that the other thing that we have done is that we've taken the necessary measures to make sure everybody is working safe. You know, putting in things such as barriers. If you're relatively close, or you're relatively close to somebody, either separate them out or put in the necessary things in between people in order for them not to invade, I guess, your own social space. But I think the one thing is, though, it's a lot of it is yet to be seen. But we are taking the necessary measures in order to keep our employees safe, which in turn will also keep our clients safe, as well as our suppliers, to make sure that we're maintaining a level of security and safety that is demanded upon us.
Thank you very much, and I do agree. So I would like to thank both Arif and Jeff for today's presentation. I would like to thank the audience for attending today's webinar. Our next webinar will be April 29th, 2020, next week, Wednesday at 1:30. And if any of those who are on today's call or webinar, and they would like to take advantage of this webinar series, please send me an email at yannick@itscanada.ca. The recording of the webinar will be made available later on this afternoon. I'll be putting that on our website, and all attendees will receive an email with the recording as well. So with that, I would say stay safe, stay connected, but 2 meters or 6 feet apart, and wishing you a great rest of the day. Thank you.